Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. How have you all amazing sisters been? I trust you're fine. May Allah ease our affairs. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for always stopping by. And if you are just joining us for the first time, make sure you consider subscribing. In my last video, I took you all through my job search saga, and I promised that I was going to make a video on how I eventually got my job. Get a chilled drink so that you'll be sipping, as I am giving you the gist, and make sure you have something to snack on because it's gonna be lit. In my last video, I talked about attending the University of All job fair, whereby various organizations, have their different stands and they advertise job vacancies. So I remember that I filled quite a number of application forms, just doing my part while leaving the rest to Allah. So a few days later, I got a message from one of the organizations at the job fair, asking me to fill another application form online through their website. So at first I was reluctant because one part of me was, tired of filling series of application forms without any positive results. And another part of me was just like, keep trying, girl, just keep trying. And then I started filling the application form. And so I got to a particular section that says, provide additional information. And then I paused and I am like, should I write this thing that is in my mind or should I just skip? So I took my biro and I wrote, I am a Muslim lady. I wear hijab and I can't take it off. However, I have a very lovable personality, very accommodative. I respect everyone irrespective of their religious inclination, blah, blah, blah. My dear sisters, what will you rather have me do? The idea is that at least now I wear hijab, so it is better that you don't bother inviting me for any interview, or better still, you may choose to be reasonable and look beyond the hijab and focus on what I have to offer. And then I submitted and looked away. I did not even bother myself at all because the mindset for me was that they might not even reply me, so I took my mind off it completely. And about 2 days later, I got a message from the same organization, and if I can remember vividly, I think it was thank you for taking your time to fill the application form, and thank you for the additional information. We are, however, pleased to invite you for an interview on so date, so time, and then address. I was like, shifts. Let me sit down and read this thing carefully. Let me be sure. Fast forward to the day of the interview. So when I got to the venue, I met the manager and she was like, oh, welcome. What's your name again? Oh, Sahida, do you want a nice hot cup of tea? I was like, tea, hey, don't let me drink tea and forget all that I read you. And then she said, will you rather have water? And I said, yes, water, please, water. Because I remember someone once told me that British people, or I think the whites in general, find it to be rude if they continually offer someone some kind of soft drink and the person keeps rejecting. So I was like, bring water, oh, mommy, before she misinterprets my refusal. So I went to the interview room and then she brought me water. Mashallah, some white people are so polite. So polite and cultured, like well-mannered. I mean, all through the lecture, she made the all through the interview session, she made the atmosphere extremely relaxing and tension-free. So towards the end of the interview, she asked if I had any question, and so I asked if she was going to be comfortable with me wearing hijab, in the long run, because I wouldn't want to start the job and eventually she will start having issues with my hijab. And then she said, no, 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 that in the company there is nothing like, discrimination, and that everybody are welcome irrespective of their religious beliefs and the like. And then I asked if there was going to be a kind of a uniform. I was asking that, was I going to get an oversized uniform and the length of the hijab that I could use, since it was a healthcare assistant job, I was kind of trying to see how I could fit in. And then she said, no, 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 don't worry, we don't use uniforms here, so feel free to wear anything you are very comfortable in. And I said, Mommy, egg. And then she said, overall, I did very well. And so she has to give feedback to the board of directors. And if I am found worthy, then they will send me a confirmation of employment message and stuff. And in my mind, I was like, the board of directors better behave well, you. On a more serious note, I left with the mindset that whatever would be mine will get to me if Allah wills, even if the entirety of mankind and jinn feels otherwise, and vice versa. So when I was waiting for feedback from this particular organization, I kept checking different websites and Google to see if something will come up, because the waiting period seems like forever to me. And then I stumbled on a particular healthcare organization. I was going through their website and I saw quite a number of captivating things like staff support, staff benefits, timely promotion, staff card for discounted shoppings, trainings here and there, seminars, and conferences for staff. And to crown it up, it only requires a single bus of about 17 minutes distance from where I am to the place. And to cap it up again, it's top one of the best in all and Yorkshire in general. And I was like, if only I could just get a job here, it would make quite a lot of sense, because I will be able to gather quality experience, in the sector, and it will help to beautify my CV, since they are well ranked. They listed the various categories of awards that they have received, and in fact, there was a picture of some of the managers with the late Queen Elizabeth in one of their branches. A part of me was like, girl, you too like better thing. Focus on the one you are expecting, JJ, and pray about it. But I was like, I will try. Pata pata, they will say, unfortunately. So I picked my phone and dialed their number. So before I dialed the number, there was no single aka that I forgot to recite. And then someone picked, and then I said, I wanted to know if there was recruitment going on in the organization. And then she answered, oh yes, you called at the right time. Can you come to the office tomorrow and grab an application form? That was it. And then I got the application form and they invited me for an interview. About 2 days to my second interview, I got a message from the first organization that I passed the interview, and so my application was successful. I got the job. And because the job is a healthcare assistant job, it was stated that I will be assigned to only female clients, because I am a Muslim and so they don't want me to be offended. They also stated the time for training and some other details. At that point, I was happy. Like, I didn't even care about the, reality of working in the sector. When we get to the bridge, we will cross it. The only thing shocking me at that point was to call all the doubting Thomas that I have in my cycle that ọ̀rọ̀ orí bí ẹ ṣe rò ó, alájà ti ríṣẹ́. Alhamdulillah, my interview at the second organization, which I preferred the most, went so smooth. Subhanallah, it was unbelievably beyond my imagination and expectations. Seriously, it was as though I had seen all the questions that would be asked at the interview and I had practiced them to the letter. And the interview was like a piece of cake. And then towards the end of the interview session, they asked if I had any question. I think that's the norm, right? And I asked the same hijab question, and they clearly told me that they don't discriminate irrespective of the religion or ethnicity, and that they embrace diversity with their full chest. I just kept saying, Astaghfirullah, because at a point I had a wrong assumption of these people, and I easily stereotyped all of them as being racist and Islamophobes due to the awful experiences that I have had with some other people. And I think that's what life is all about, right? We tend to meet the good, the bad, and the ugly. This life is not balanced. To wrap it up, one of the interviewers said they will usually tell those they interview to go and expect a message from them. But so far so good, they are thrilled with the performance. And they said, congratulations, you got the job and we are doing your DBS immediately. And I was like, wow, just like that?
Give thanks to Allah.
I was super excited. I remember calling my dad and I told him that I got a job, and he said, beautiful. And I said, with my hijab. He said, beautiful. I said, Daddy, with my hijab. Oh. He said, Alhamdulillah. Rabbil Alameen. You would not get to understand this part if you have not watched the video, my previous video, where I talked about my challenges as a Muslim woman wearing a hijab and searching for jobs in the UK. I talked about family pressure and the like, so you might want to check that video. The funny thing was that I was supposed to start my training for the first job I got the next day. I mean, the day after the second interview. And that night, they sent me a reminder like, oh, we are excited to have you at our training tomorrow, this and this, and other information. And I was like, oh, mommy, wow. And the next morning again, they sent me another message, your training is by so time, like reminding me. And I was like, yeah, this lady that offered me a nice hot cup of tea and water. How was I supposed to tell her that I was not going to take the job because I got a better one? I had to choose the second organization because it is less stressful and the organization is much more reputable than the first, and the pay is better. And to cap it up, the first one is a domiciliary job, sort of, where staff have to go to clients' house to offer services, and that is much more stressful. I had to play along with the first job just to prove a point to those that thought I was not going to get a job because I was wearing hijab. Not knowing that Allah has better plans. At least now, these people know better. My next story time video, Bi-Iznillah, I am going to be telling you how Allah answered my prayers. Because if you remember in my last video, I said at a point, the only thing I could do was to keep praying to Allah to bless me with a job whereby I will be accepted as a Muslimah wearing a hijab and that will not affect my Islam. And you will not believe that in this organization, where I am working now, they assigned a separate room for my prayers. And my shift was designed in a way that it will not clash with my salah too much. And then I was told that when it's time for Ramadan, that I should tell the managers so that they will redesign the shift to suit me during fasting period. Which of
Subhanallah,
I remember that when I told someone that I applied to that particular organization, she was like, that place that they only employ, white people, and you are now wearing hijab again. There is nothing impossible for Allah to do except He wills otherwise. And truly, out of all the staff in the organization, there are only 2 blacks who are major staff, and that is one guy and my humble self. Now, the thing is that I haven't gotten my dream job. No, this is not what I planned as a long-term job or a long-term goal. In fact, my own prayer is that I should be making my millions in the comfort of my home without having to step outside. But I am grateful for the opportunity. So, my beloved sisters, let us not lose hope in the mercy of Allah. I know that it can be difficult at times because we are humans, and some challenges can come up at our most vulnerable time. But let us not be carried away by shaitan. And believe me, if you continue to trust Allah and if you are prayerful and firm with sincerity, Allah would continue to, make ways out of every difficult situation. To all of you beautiful sisters who are content with destiny and never lose faith, those of you that endure and persevere for the sake of Allah, those of you who will not quit even when it gets tough, you face every challenges with rays of hope. Keep pushing and keep believing, for after every difficulty comes ease.
Give thanks to Allah for the moon and the stars. Praise Him all day for what is and what was. Take hold of your iman, don't give in to shaitan. Oh, you who believe, please give thanks to Allah.